You mentioned purpose. I think I told you guys I was gifted a book called Health Revelations from Heaven and Earth. Tommy Rosa, again, was hit by a car in Manhattan. A car was traveling at 40 miles an hour. He dies. He goes to his spirit, lifts from his body, goes to heaven, meets Jesus, gives him 8 health revelations, puts him back in his body to come back and write this book. And I had the opportunity to have him on our radio show in 2016. One of the things, these 8 health revelations, I asked him point blank, when you were with Jesus, did he weight these things equally important, or did he say one was more important than the other? He said, no, absolutely. Jesus said the first health revelation is the most important. We're all connected. So that connection, that energy, moving the needle as a group. You guys are helping us. There's the book.
Absolutely.
Dr. Steven Sinatra actually trained me he's a board certified cardiologist from Yale who trained me in my master's program at UConn years ago. But back to it, one of those 8 health revelations is sense of purpose. Right? Yeah. Right? We're here for however long we're here for.
Right. Yeah.
60, 80, 100 years, however long.
Yeah.
Sense of purpose.
Sense of purpose.
How do you move the needle? How do you make the biggest impact you can?
Yeah. I think us chasing this down is noble. I think trying to 100%. Chase down the cause of disease, the cause of what's making anybody sick, I think that's something worth chasing down, right?
Well, yeah.
Something worth going after.
Both of our families we have gone through trials with our research and then choosing not to do certain things.
Right.
And have gotten ridiculed.
Yeah.
Friends disowned us.
Yeah.
Family members questioned and interrogated us.
Yeah.
Why on earth would you never?
Why wouldn't you do it? Yeah.
Wow. And it's like, and this was 10, 12 years ago, dude.
This was before people were really as on the fence as they are about it now.
But I say that because there are so many people out there that have questions and don't have other people to talk to.
Yeah.
Just give another resource for people can hear some truth.
Exactly.
But Brittany just texted me this. She said, this is what y'all need to talk about. Ask Dr. G this. Why 4 of us at the hair salon has had headaches for 3 days now? What in the EMF?
Yeah.
Downtown Rockwall. There's always a big, have you ever heard about like that area down there in downtown Rockwall? Like,
what's that? Well, I'm not an EMF expert, but it is a real thing. It's interesting. Dr. Sinatra, I was privileged to be sitting on his immediate right in Tucson in September of 2016 when they gave him the Linus Pauling Award for Lifetime Achievement. But he actually spoke at that conference and talked about EMF and the effect that it has, particularly on children. The younger, the more tender the meat, the easier it cooks.
I remember you saying that last time. I was like, "Ooh, that is
thyroid."
Yes,
about the
about thyroid. That's right.
And so the same thing happens for the brain. So in the history of our practice, we've had a 10-year-old boy, 11-year-old boy, and a 15-year-old female, all with brain cancer primary tumors. So in other words, that's a very rare thing. Most cancers that are in the brain have spread from some other location in the body to the brain. There's only 3% of brain tumors are primary tumors. So understand, 10 years old, 11 years old, and 15 years old. These are not children that are smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. They were handed a cell phone when they were 7 years old, and they've been basically cooking their brain, for 3 years or 4 years or 8 years.
Yeah.
So
we have it's
friend.
A real thing. We have a friend who they are not as plugged into this kind of end of like holistic healing, but their kids are always on a device, always on an iPad or a phone, and they sleep with it on their bed right next to them, and it's on Wi-Fi. It's on like the whole thing, and
scary.
I told them, I was like, hey, like you guys might want to put that away or put it on like a different side or put it in airplane mode or something. And I remember the blank stare, like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's producing radioactive waves and it's, emitting things and this and that. And like, at the end of the day, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know what I've heard kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think they got it or cared about it or, anything, but
too bad.
Well, and it's, and I think at the end of the day, like you're doing something noble again by mentioning it and saying, hey, like this probably isn't good for you. You guys do what you want. Obviously it's your own child choices, everything, but at least having like a discussion about it, I think that's important. So
what's your take on stem cells and stem cell therapy?
I don't have a lot of, experience, but I have limited experience with stem cell. We don't do it in our office. That doesn't mean I'm against it by any stretch. In fact, I would say I'm actually for it, particularly with respect to joint pain,
Okay.
arthritis, and things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good treatment. I think it works. Obviously, the limiting factor for most people is the money.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But I do believe in it. Much more affordable is the protein, right? That you spin it down and re-inject it in, and
What's interesting that you said about joints is that, and we did a podcast with Darcy Brunk, who's a stem cell expert.
You should talk to him if you
And
haven't
one of the
already.
things that he mentioned is that the human body tries to hold on and protect the vital organs.
Yeah.
And so that's why seemingly the joints go first, is because the stem cells kind of relocate and concentrate into the organs because those are more important. So it's interesting that you say joints because that is the first thing that goes, and it could be highly beneficial for people.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not convinced about IV stem cells yet. I just think it's kind of early in the game to make a call one way or the other on IV stem cell, but I think it's a good thing for
So you're
joints.
thinking more of like local.
Yeah, you know, you
direct.
got a bad shoulder or whatever,
Go right
and
in.
you know, somebody's talking about shoulder replacement. I mean, if you can afford stem cells, do it. Now,
Yeah.
I will say this. You know, let's say a stem cell injection is, I don't know, you guys probably know better than me, somewhere between $1,000 and $5,000 for a stem cell injection. You could probably take a treatment of hyperbaric oxygen in our office for around $120, and you'll improve your stem cells by a factor of 30. So if a shot it improves your stem cell count by a factor of 100, hyperbaric oxygen will improve it by a factor of 30 for a fraction of the cost. So that's pretty cool. And you know, you'll see patients that have pain, and they'll go in the chamber and they'll come out and they'll be free of pain.
Yeah.
I think
Oxygen's the greatest drug without a doubt. I mean,
Yeah,
nothing comes close to it.
I had a major dislocation when I was playing polo and my horse went down and my elbow shot up into my shoulder. And I ended up getting hyperbaric oxygen therapy for that because I had just terrible tendonitis even after it was healed, you know, shooting pains in the elbow.
Yeah.
And I did hyperbaric for, I think, a period of 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it, it's not immediate. You have to give the body time to do what the body does. And you think of it as a way that you're giving the body the cavalry. You're giving them the reinforcements because now, no pain whatsoever.
Isn't that awesome?
Nothing wrong with my elbow.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a lot like acupuncture, where it's like you walk away and you're like, that didn't do shit. But 3 weeks later, the problem's gone.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
One treatment or what?
No, for hyperbaric,
Yeah.
I think I went once or twice a week for about 4 to 6 weeks.
Gotcha,
I
okay.
can't remember.
Okay.
And I laid in the
It's like a
submarine
recurring
thing. And the guy was
I'm
like,
still tripping on the fact that
was
you
in a-
played polo.
I know. When you said that you fell off a horse, I was like,
What in the
rich
silver
white man.
That is awesome, dude.
That is awesome.
That is
See
awesome.
Brett on a horse.
Yeah.
was,
What?
That's a skill.
That's
Yeah, it
so
is.
cool.
that
That's a
was that
skill.
was a different time in my life. That was before my wife was pregnant with my first kid, and you know,
Okay.
I'm laying on the polo field, my elbow's like up here,
Oh
and
my
the horse is like
gosh.
pissing right next to my head. And I-
Your wife's just like,
yeah, the horse is just standing there, like, what do I do now? My wife's flying up on a mule.
Your wife is
You
like,
know?
you done with this hobby now?
yeah.
Like,
What are we gonna do
got it
about
out of your
this?
system?
Yeah,
Oh, look at that. That's pretty impressive. National
one?
Institutes of Health.
yeah.
right?
So I did want to mention this because
Yeah.
about the phone. So we there is evidence that says it doesn't cause brain cancer, but right here, NIH, we found cell phone use is linked to gliomas and acoustic neuromas.
Malignant brain
So
tumor and
my
acoustic
question
neuromas.
is this: is that whenever the phone is actively in a phone call and it's placed here, or is that when you're connected to Wi-Fi and phones just laying here? I'm
Again-
sure it's worse if you're on it, right?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like messing with the period. I never put it in my front pocket. I
Yeah.
always put it in my back pocket.
Yeah. I mean, even that's kind of scary too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
kind of
know?
scary.
Have it not with
Why are you worried about your nuts so much? I mean, are you having more kids? Are you
Now we're
having-
asking the important questions.
we are.
Where are you at with
Are you
this,
having
Mark?
more kids? What's going on?
Uh,
This is a gem of a show, man.
Well, it's funny you should ask.
wonderful.
We're just going to go in there and take it there.
Yeah.
We're, Dr. G, have you...
Answer the question.
All right. So I want to talk about fasting.
Okay.
Are you a fan of this?
I'm
Do you fast yourself?
not a fan. In other words, again, John 14:16, I will send you a helper. The name of this helper is called the Holy Spirit. I encourage you to trust that over every doctor, including me.
Yeah.
Have an experience with fasting. See what you think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This came up just yesterday, guys. So let me throw this out first. If you're a parent or a grandparent and you have a boy, I mean, this is day one medical school stuff. Make sure that both testicles are in the scrotum no later than 12 months old. Okay, if you don't know how to assess it, take them to the pediatrician or your family doctor and have them assess, are their testicles down? You say, why is he going in this direction? We're treating a 17-year-old guys with metastatic testicular cancer at this point.
Wow.
Because
really?
the parents or the doctor or both, it's got to be one or the other or both, just never spent time. And so God put the testicles in the scrotum because it's a cooler area than the body. That's where God wanted them to be.
Okay.
They're not supposed to be inside the body cavity.
Yeah.
And if they are, they can turn.
And sperm is 93 degrees.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they can, as opposed to 98 point whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So that caused his undescended testicle caused him to have testicular cancer. So the testicle was removed, but the problem is he's got metastasis, right? So this is getting back to Evan's question about fasting and trusting in the Holy Spirit. I was talking to Mom the other day about I think hyperbaric would be a really good thing. We look it up. The bleomycin that he's on for his chemotherapy is contraindicated with hyperbaric. So I said, okay, because you guys are committed to the chemo, we're gonna leave hyperbaric out for now. I said, and then liver detox and all this stuff is heavy, bleo and all these stuff is heavy hitters on your liver.
Yeah.
I said, coffee enema, make sure every week. Oh, they said don't do any kind of rectal enemas.
Oh man.
Okay, so Jennifer, Mom, Dr. Godino's telling you this. The other guys are telling you this. What do? You pray about it.
Sure.
You pray about it.
Yep.
Okay, what would I do if it was my son? He'd be doing once a week coffee enema.
Yep.
But pray about it. And consider having an experience. And if he does it and he feels better, trust that over any clown, including me or this other doctor.
Yeah, man.
Right?
I love it.
This will never abandon you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Never going to
Amen.
abandon you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that goes right back to the fasting question. I would tell you, if you're interested, do it. I think there's value in it. I did a 28-hour fast one time with just liquids, and I survived it. I had some hunger spells, but it comes and goes. It's not total pain the whole time.
Yeah. What about kid stuff? Like, do you treat children at all? Are you seeing anything, like any spike in ailments? Is there anything
listen,
going around?
I cannot remember. God strike me dead if I'm lying right now. I cannot remember the last vaccinated boy that I have seen that was not on the autism spectrum.
Wow.
This is all vaccines or the most recent one?
This is any and all. Typically, the worst that I see, and we'll get this history from Mom all the time. My child was doing great. Then at either 12 or 15 months, they got the MMR vaccine.
Yeah.
The next day, the lights are on, but nobody's home. Yeah. So I get that history all the time.
Man. Wow.
Girls, for whatever reason, are much more resilient. Now, we have girls in the spectrum. Don't get me wrong, but not nearly the number of boys. So, yeah.
That is so
There you go.
scary.
Thank you, Brett. Look at our man.
1 in
over there.
36 children in the U.S. have autism, up to a previous rate of 1 in 44. In the U.S., about 4 in 100 boys and 1 in 100 girls have autism. Boys are nearly 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls.
And
I wonder what that's about.
And I could just say clinically, as somebody who is nose to the grindstone every day, that's about right.
Yeah.
Well, what is it in other countries? Where do we rank on that? Because if we keep going at that rate, I mean, 20, 30,
It's
40 years
crazy.
from now, we're going to have a very, very, very sad.
Yeah.
South Korea 1 in 38, United States 1 in 36, Japan 1 in 87,
Huh.
Sweden 1 in
So it's
100.
not far. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I bet.
What do we got? India,
Yeah.
1 in 500 children. China, 1 in 1 in 60.
Italy.
We are by far the leader here with South
Yep.
Korea.
Italy, 1 in 66. Or
166.
166.
Wow.
1 in 500 in India?
I wonder what that's about, though.
Because
Well,
they're not doing it.
exactly,
Yeah.
100%.
They're just not getting like the vaccines
That's
you're saying.
exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, man. That is so
and
interesting.
their food is not probably clean as can be.
Yeah.
and it's not GMO,
Yeah.
right?
That is
I'm
so
surprised that
interesting.
Japan is ranked right there.
187.
Don't these like Japan is like one of the most healthiest
Mm-hmm.
or individual to live the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their diet is I think considered one of the healthier diets.
Mainly
So yeah, it's probably
Fish and
environmental
seaweed.
toxins or something.
Yeah, Japanese back in the day in the 40s before World War II, so early 40 or late 30s, I guess.
Yeah.
They were among the longest living, and they consumed more pork per person than anywhere in the world. At the
Oh,
time.
interesting.
Really?
But they're also eating a lot of seaweed,
Yeah.
kelp,
Yeah, but
which
their
is high in
pork-
iodine, which
Their pork
Right.
is healthy. Their pork
Supports
isn't
the
fed a
queen.
bunch of
Supports
garbage.
it.
It was
Thyroid.
pasture raised back then. So
Is there healthy pork? Is that a thing?
yes, for sure,
There
it's
is?
higher in linoleic acid and omega 6, but when compared to something like a seed oil, we're talking that pork
Yeah.
can be, I don't know. This is a random thought, but like 8% maybe in linoleic acid, and seed oils is like 36%. Or
Don't
something
pigs
insane.
in general though? Don't they eat garbage and crap?
That
and
is one of
kinda
the problems with
wallow
pigs.
in their own shit and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
that
isn't
is
a
one of the
thing?
problems with pigs. And then farmers, I mean, there was a farmer that supplemented with giving his pigs sawdust, and he would put sawdust in the feed, and over time he just kept adding sawdust. And then once at one point he did actually hit a limit, and all the pigs died.
Oh wow.
But for a
Wow.
while he got up to like 50% sawdust. You know, and he's like,
What
"This
was
is
the
just so
thinking
much
behind
cheaper."
that?
It's cheaper.
Fill them
he-
up. Fill them up.
Oh,
Fill 'em up.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
just
Make
Oh,
'em,
wow.
Make them
Yeah.
full.
Wow, man.
So you don't
Crazy.
Have to, so you don't
Okay.
have to feed them.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Let's talk about hormones.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about testosterone.
Let's talk about it. What
All
a
right.
fantastic topic. First off, there's a ton of low testosterone out there in men and women, much more in you guys' age group than the older guys. You know, these guys in the 70s and 80s, none of them got low testosterone
Yeah.
because there's more toxins.
Yeah.
You guys grew up with a crappier food supply.
This is okay.
They
Check.
grew,
Yeah.
Grandpa Ganino, he first off, he didn't sit on his rear end like his son, or his grandson, me. He drove dump truck, worked on the railroad.
Yeah.
So he's physically laboring.
Right.
And then when
He's
he
in the
comes
sun.
home, he's in the sun.
Yeah.
His vitamin D is
Yep.
tight, right?
Yep.
He gets home, he washes his hands, goes to his own garden in the back of his garage, pulls up his tomatoes and rutabagas and whatever else he's having.
Yep.
Goes inside, grandma's cooking chicken or whatever, and there you go. You got your meat,
Right.
and you got your veggies.
Yeah.
And
Fats
and there
and
you
everything
go.
in between. Yeah.
So the older group doesn't have it. It's a big issue in the younger population, males and females. First fact: when people come in, I tell people treating low testosterone is elective. Okay, so for example, for men, and this is important, get your pen and paper out because this is key. For men, we're looking at 350 to 850, and for females, 15 to 60. That's where you want to safely run your testosterone levels. Okay.
Okay.
So my, testosterone treatment in our office is elective. In other words, I have had low testosterone personally in the past. When that was the case, not aware of how I could have any more energy, focus, concentration, memory, no issues. Sexually, no issues. At that point in my life, I chose the approach: if it ain't broken, you don't have to fix it.
Sure.
So that's an option in our office: is no treatment. Second, I'll say this, and this is of course the fun part: testosterone miracles discussed. So at the present moment, we have 10 women and 29 men for a total of 39 total patients with low testosterone that we've normalized their testosterone either by taking them off gluten or supporting the body's major detox enzyme called MTHFR. We can talk more about that if you guys want. And or doing a heavy metals test on them and then subsequently chelating out their toxins with an IV called chelation, which we kind of talked about on our first show. 39 total miracles now that we've normalized these people's testosterone with no creams, no pellets, no shots, 0, 0, 0, and 0. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Lastly,
Yeah.
if somebody does want supplementation, we'll typically write them for a cream that we can easily titrate it up and down so we don't hurt them. Fact, the doctor gets more money for the more pellets that they put in the patient. Talking about testosterone pellets.
Okay.
So there's the potential greed factor. So at the present moment, not in our office because we don't pellet people. we write prescriptions, which I make $0 off of writing those prescriptions. In fact, it could be argued that it costs money because I got to pay my staff to make the time
Sure.
to call the pharmacy to get it called in. This
Sure.
and that. So at the present moment, 3 female heart attacks, 1 male heart attack. He's dead. We have a male with a pulmonary embolism with a testosterone of 900, 3 strokes, and a lady from St. Petersburg, Florida, named Donna, that was pelleted. She developed 6 pulmonary emboli, so they took her to surgery. They evacuated 3 of her clots from her lungs. She went to the ICU and she lived. Testosterone level 635.
Oh my gosh.
My personal testosterone level is 404. This is a female with a 635
Wow.
testosterone level. So they basically overdosed her and just about killed her. So ladies, if you're 15 to 60 with your testosterone, you're good. If you're less than 15, you might want to get on a little something because you'll probably feel better. Same thing with men. If you're below 350, you might want to get on a little something. You'll feel better. But don't go playing around with 900 and 1200 and this and that and the other, because you're playing with fire. I have a recent patient from Nashville, Tennessee, a guy named Anthony, super great guy, like 54 years old. He's just finished quadruple artery bypass graft on his heart and carotid endarterectomy. Testosterone level greater than 1500. So the lab only measures it up to 1500. His was greater than 1500. So in other words, all of this surgery that he had, 256 grand here and 36 grand over here, all this money could have been avoided had his doctor respected physiology and not greed.
Yeah.
Right? Most problems in medicine are from greed.
Yeah. I believe that 110%.
So, what are some other natural ways do you know of
Exercise.
to-
So yeah,
to
when I
raise
was
testosterone?
when I was at 330, how did I move my 330 to 404 without testosterone? Eric, weight training. I don't train like you because I'm not your age, but
Yeah.
weight training.